Hey peeps, what's up? Alright, I'm here mainly about talking to you about the Gen X. This is Doobie, and I'm a little interested in all this big commotion going on because we've been silent about a lot of things, working, from the back, behind the closed doors. I thought after all the meetings and everything that they were trying to get a hold of people to raise the grandchildren and try and restructure things that way, but apparently the word is out. And the Gen X has awoken. So I'm outside listening to some music, listening to these guys mow in the yard. It's finally beautiful outside. And it started to occur to me that a lot of differences. The biggest thing with the Gen X waking up from all this is that I am Gen X, we created this. This is our fault. We, we grew up in a more open time frame. The 70s, and like the Vietnam War, the Cold War brewing, and all these political things happening as our technology was enhancing. So we were living at a time that was rocking. All right, our music will be and always will be the best. Okay, you can't. No, we are the generation that created one name musicians, one name actors. We gave you movies that are being rebooted now. Our generation kicked ass. But we've been quiet about things working behind the scenes, but apparently no more, because there are certain generations that are starting to get a little bit out of hand, starting to get a little stupid. So, I mean, in the political realm, we had some pretty cool presidents and some really dumbasses. But by all means, did we not elect Donald Trump? Come on, man. That's right there. If I had a name for every person that voted for Donald Trump, I bet you they're mostly millennials. Okay? And I just like to walk up behind him, smack him on the back of the head, and say, "What the fuck?" Okay, so with Gen X waking up, I posted a little something on my Facebook about it, just joking. Because as Gen X, we also have to have the balls to realize and to take the blame. So, we were caring. We were understanding. We did not want our children to be raised the way we were. Because, yes, most of our time was outside, and we hated it at times. Especially when we had a brand new Atari in the living room on this big, 50 by 50 by 20 TV. And yes, I was the remote control. Spoiled bastards. We didn't have satellite. We didn't have cable for a long time. I even had an outhouse. And if you're millennials or whatever don't know what those are, look them up. Try them out. Hey, it might become a new fad, right? Especially when you live up north and there's about a foot of snow to get to and from. I'm just saying. And this walking up and down hills to get to school, yeah, we actually did walk to school. There were no hills, but we walked to school. I mean, our generation made it easier for the rest of you to deal with this crap. Our generation made up some of the best medications, especially for mental health, because we're the ones dealing with it. Our parents and their parents were they suppressed a lot of things. They just kept it built up until they, exploded found somebody else and moved on, whatever. But the other generations can also thank us for divorce because, it was unheard of. I mean, come on. Until, we started realizing that you can only tolerate so much bullshit in your life. And when two people grow apart, yeah, we don't deal with that. So, there you have it. You can thank us. I mean, we should be praised. But no, instead, everything's coming to a head. So, as the other generations, I guess, try and listen to this, the Gen X gave you guys the ability to think outside of the box with support. Okay, and the millennials will probably argue this one off, but if you ever really look at some of the things they've been posting, right, they say stupid runs downhill. And there are some really stupid things I'm watching on the internet that are just jaw-dropping. But, anywho, I had to dump the Instagram account. I got more prostitution scams from Nigeria, and this Gen X thing started exploding, and it's just a little too much to keep up on. So I'll just keep working on the Facebook page where I put in all my information and stuff. But I'm going to delve more into the Gen X because I'm a full supporter of the music of my generation. And that is the key for the grandchildren that we are raising or trying to, or the great-grandchildren, if any of you are really lucky. And whenever mine are around, it's always music and butt jokes. It's just, that's the way the kids are. And the music, because the music in this generation right now is shit-stained evil. It is bad. When you got characters like Kanye West going around saying he's a rock star, please, motherfucker. Anyway, yeah, they're getting entertainment, but through a screen. Now, in my day, man, we were out in the fields with bonfires and kegs, smoking weed like none other, man. Because we were growing it in our backyard. I lived on 40 acres, and before we even bought the farm, we went and looked at it. I remember this like it was yesterday, man. There was a nice, beautiful pot plant growing right next to the door. And my dad goes, "Ooh, we're going to buy this place." Pointed it out. And my mom goes, "Oh, Lyle." And I'm like, "What is it?" And they were going, "Oh, it's just a weed." Yeah, I learned all too well because it wasn't just at the back door. Anyway, I love rednecks and I love hillbillies to death, baby. Anyways, my generation, man, we opened up the door. We opened up the floodgate. Our generation brought in the betterment of mushrooms, the betterment of psychedelics. Our generation created ecstasy. Our generation basically created Wall Street downfall of real estate. Man, did we make some mistakes, Gen X. Oh. But all in all, back to the music. I mean, we were the ones that created, like Madonna, Prince, George Michael. All you had to do at a time was say George. You had great musical acts like Metallica, Ozzy. Even though Ozzy came from, the Sabbath days, man. When he went solo, that was huge for me. It introduced me to Zach. You know, I got to see people live on stage that I idolized, like Chris. Man, Sabotage, one of the great underrated groups. And Chris was one of my favorite all-time guitarists. He always will be. But then you got Zach. I got to watch him play. Yeah, I got to see some of the great CJ Snare. I got to listen to him live a couple of times. Firehouse, great group. I can keep going on and on and on, but these generation gaps in music is horrendous. There's only a handful of great or good bands right now that I'm listening to. Mammoth, he's come up big time. I listen to him every day. Stone Broken, I listen to them every day. They're on every playlist I have. Five Finger Death Punch, I love them. So they're out there. You just got to listen for them. And that's why I love being a part of the music community on the internet, is because I get a great broad spectrum, I would say, of different musical acts and talents that are out there that normally you wouldn't hear. But the beauty of, internet, you can look up just about anything music-wise. And that's the one thing that the generations, we didn't have that. We came up with it as the internet was coming up. We could pirate the music. Lars made a big stink about that, but he had his points. But as time progressed, Apple did their thing and people piggybacked that, and music came abroad. But we went through our steps dealing with that. And nowadays, it's a beautiful thing to be able to do that. But in our day, we had to start you had to earn your wings. And you have a lot of failed musicians out there that are losing a grasp and trying to find something to fill that hole. When you play on stage in front of a lot of people, it becomes a rush and it's an addiction. And when you start losing that and you lose your faith in the music, you want to put it in something else. And the music now is not giving any promise. So we're seeing a resurgence of my generation's music coming back, because it was and always will be the greatest form of music created. I mean, we had our legends, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, a lot of great 70s bands out there that we had, and we built upon it. And what the generations behind us are doing is destroying it. They're burning it from the top down. So we need to reintroduce to them what real music is. Okay? So 80s and 90s music flourished. It made sense. It brought back feelings, emotions. It brought back joy. Then the decline. Everybody started losing touch. Reality. I wouldn't say techno or technology. The advancement of technology in the music industry, where you're able to do and create without having feeling, that, there's no heart in the music. So that's the one thing that I'm hoping that we can teach the next generation. But we also have to deal with the fact that we destroyed the climate. Now, I'm not saying us. I'm saying a few generations before us, when the industrial age and the stripping of the mining and all that, when that started to occur and we started burning everything off and not replacing, We're going to strip everything, but we're not going to be able to replace it. Okay. And as time progressed, our generation, the Gen X, we had the capabilities to start then to reverse the process. But our government would not allow it because they were in the pockets of the oil industry, the gas industries, all of these companies that were making billions a year on stripping and not replacing. So here we go. We had it back in the day, but our government stopped it. So I apologize because, I wasn't even thinking about it at the time. I mean, nobody was really talking about global warming until I hit my 20s and I started seeing reports about the polar ice caps and how the ozone layer, there was a hole in it. Holy shit, how did that happen, And you come find out it's our fault. There's so much that we could actually be doing if we were allowed to let the technology and the science do its job. I bet you anything, we could have been off of gas-powered motors by now if we had the opportunities. Okay? I mean, they were able to create the atomic bomb in such a time. Why haven't they worked out an energy source where we are not dependent on natural resources? Also, we are deplenishing the water sources underneath the crust, the planet. Things of that nature. Look at the weather that is being created now. And we were a part of that. We could have initially started programs to stop this, but we didn't. So now they have to deal with all this bad climate, and it affects not only us, but it's affecting the wildlife. There's been a lot of issues with sporadic encounters with dangerous wildlife. Okay, and the oceans, they're warming up. So hurricane season, they were talking about it on the news today. It's all these issues that all the next generations have to deal with. So on top of everything else, we helped give them that. So it's kind of depressing. But, they're handling well. I'm still trying to deal with the pronoun thing. If you look like a guy, I'm going to say, hey, dude, what's up? If you look like a girl, I'm going to say, hey, sweetheart, how are you? That's the way I am. That's my mannerisms. But if you look like you're three different people in one, I'm going to get confused because I don't know. Do you know who you are? And if you do, that's great. Announce yourself or put a little sticker on your shirt with your name. It would make it easier for everybody. I don't want to be disrespectful at all because I like introducing myself to people when they look like they want to be introduced to. I'm not that bad of a person. I'm just a little nuts. But hey, I learned that through my generation as well. Woohoo! But anywho, the music, that to me is the key because whatever form or whatever genre you enjoy, it speaks to you. It opens you up. It gets to your heart. It makes your body react. It does everything. So that's the key, buddy. So all in all, Gen X here. I know it's my fault. I will take the blame for the world. This is Doobie. Love y'all. Bye-bye.